Welcome to my first Bricklink Studio modular building from beginning to end tutorial. My name is Pascal and this is Pascal's Brick Tutorials. In this tutorial series we will be building a representation of the post office of Likasi in the DRC, and this building poses a few challenges. I will talk about those as I build it, and you will see how we overcome them. Some housekeeping. We will need Bricklink Studio, and for the remainder of these tutorials I will refer to it as Studio. And you can find Bricklink Studio at www.bricklink.com Studio Downloads. It is available for both Mac and Windows. Now I'd like to make a little note about the Windows version. It does come in two flavors, 32 and 64-bit. If you have 4 gigs of RAM or more on your machine and that you are running either Windows 7, 8 or 10 64-bit, I highly recommend that you download the 64-bit version. It will be faster for you. A little bit about Bricklink Studio. It is a CAD program, computer assisted design program, that will allow you to build models within it using standard bricks and do it as if it was a real set. So there are some advantages to Studio. For example, you can go and change a brick at the bottom without having to break everything. It is a very good planning tool, and I have been using it as such for quite a while. It does other things, photorealistic renders, which I have a short tutorial that I actually released a few days ago, and then there is the integrated instruction maker. I have used all of its power, if I can call it that way, and all of its little bits, and I'm certainly happy that it works as expected. Before we begin building, there are certain aspects that we need to talk about. And the first one that comes to mind is baseplates. Now, there are various size baseplates, and I'm going to talk about the 4 common sizes and what they should be used for. 16 by 16 is for non-modular buildings or standalone buildings. It's small, it's compact, and it can be used outside of the normal framework, such as in the middle of a park or on the sea or something. 16 by 32 is both used by mockers, or rather I should say people that create mocks, and Lego. Lego, for example, has the pet shop on 2 16 by 32 that are splittable, so the buildings can be separated from each other, and those are used for shorter modular buildings. The next step is 32 by 32. This is the standard size used by Lego, and most of their modular buildings are built on a 32 by 32, whether it's a corner or a straight. And we will be using one of those, in fact, in building the post office, along probably with the 16 by 32. Because you can actually obviously connect them together. Assembly Square from Lego, for example, is one of those that actually has a 32 by 32 and 16 by 32. The next step is a 48 by 48 studs, and those require, number one, very specific placement consideration, because it is basically 1.5 times Lego size, and those are for really large buildings. Now let us speak about the different types of buildings that we find. The first one is a straight facade building where it's built to have a building on the left and on the right. The Parisian restaurant is a typical example of such a building, even though it has a little, what I would consider a little problem, which is its sidewalk is very narrow, though the building line is the same as all the other buildings. And I would have wanted to see the minifigs to be able to move from one side of the building to the other without having to wiggle themselves through. It is, however, allowed to eat a bit on the sidewalk. If Lego does it, why can't we do it? The next building that I want to talk about is Bricklink. It is a corner building, and corner buildings do take a little bit more thinking and calculations, and I will talk about that later on. I wouldn't recommend the first mock to be a corner building. They can get very difficult to do. And I'd like to speak about the last one, which is the garage, or rather the corner garage. This is the latest from Lego, and it even gets more complicated because it has a 45-degree angle facade. Now, corner buildings require at least 2 facades, whereas a straight building will require only 1. So already there you've got simplification. And as I say, corner buildings do require a certain amount of calculations and considerations that are not necessarily required in a straight building. And this is a wrap for today's tutorial, and next week I will be showing you how to use Studio. Finally, we'll open it and you'll be able to see what can be and what can't be done with it. Enjoy yourselves, keep on bricking.